All right, hi everyone. This is Jimmy. Okay, so before I start with the product introduction, as you can see in the picture, this is our latest P-Series patient monitor. And before I start with the introduction for the P-Series, I would like to invite everybody to have a of our video. It's like a video that we shot for P-Series, and let's enjoy the video.
لسه يمسس ممكن بدخل مكان ودخل بيه ويروح معه.
Hello Biolight, turn off the alarm.
Okay, all right. That was about P-Series, and as you can see in the screen, this is our P18, which is one of our P-Series patient. Okay. Okay. Before we start with the products, I would like to show you some. There's the data from WHO. I collected on 10th of September this year. As you can see, the pandemic is still ongoing everywhere in the world. So the global situation, there are currently about 223 million confirmed cases, and there are still about 4 million and more than 600,000 of deaths totally for the COVID situations right now. And also there are coming up with the news says that there are urgencies and demands in the ICU and emergency beds is pretty bad actually in the world. All right, so we are trying to keep this moment and introduce our latest P-Series patient monitor to give the healthcare giver powerful tool for them to give care for the patients. And also we aim to rescue life, raise profit, also for our partners. Okay, so as you can see, this is our P1, which is the transport patient monitor. So it will deliver urgent care, mobile care, and continuous care to the patient, because we are always keeping the patient's safety, everything as the first priority. And also for P-Series patient monitor has won Red Dot Design Award, which is in 2021. And also our P-Series patient monitor aims to deliver a seamless transportation experience to the users. So from outdoor to emergency rooms, through the ambulances, and after patient arrive to the operation rooms, P-Series is able to give a high-end patient parameter monitoring. And also after patient gets better, go to recovery room and go to ICU. For general P-Series will guide you through the whole journey. So as you can see in your right, there's a small window. You can see we have our model showing you how our monitor is going to be look like. So we have our P1 patient monitor, and we have the transfer handle going to help us to easily carry around the P1. And also, as you can see in the picture, we have our P1 can be easily hooked over the bedside while we're transferring the patient. Okay, so P1 is less than 0.9 kg, has a high definition of the screen, which is 1280 x 720, 5.5 inch, of course, touch screen, and we have durable battery life, can run more than 8 hours, and we have 1 meter high drop resistance. And also we have IP44 water resistant. And when we're using P1 in a raining situation or snowing day everywhere, you know, in the transport or outdoors environment, no problem, because P1 is capable of you know, protecting from the environment. And also we can have built-in SpO2, CO2, NIBP, and 2 channel of temperature, IBP as well, which is very essential for those patients, you know, critically has blood pressure situations. And we have Wi-Fi, which is optional, and we have HL7 protocols allow P1 to be connected to hospital local network. And also for P1, when it's being used together with docking station, we can choose to use SpO2 from either Massimo or Neocore. We can use Centec NIBP, or either we can choose side stream and mainstream CO2 from Massimo. So we have a lot of choices to make. And also, these are the transfer handles that we can select. We have a basic transfer handle, as you can see in the picture. All right, then we have a docking station. So for slot, for us to expand of the transport monitor. And also behind this docking station, it has a VGA network and USB ports, allow us to expand more features. And P1 patient monitor is a precise machine to allow accurate and reliable monitoring experience. It has multi-lead analyze features for the patients. And also we have SD map and SD graphic. If the doctors or the nurses want to analyze patients' ECG status, like you know, ECG waveforms and changes, this map will help them to identify the changes as soon as possible. And we have QT view, and we have you know, visualizing alarm view as well. We have EWS and GCS scaling system that built into the monitor for allow us to quickly identify the patient's condition. I'll give you more details later on. And also we have a respiratory rate from the PLEF technology, allow us to check patient's respiration from the prop. So I'll give you more details. And also P1 is able to give excellent man-machine interaction when we're using the monitor, because we have an ambient light sensor built into the P1 to allow the monitor to change the screen brightness according to the environmental lights. And also it supports multi-finger gestures that we can just slide on the monitor to change the brightness and volumes and change display mode, everything. So you can see the model is handling the monitor right now. So we can just use our fingers, 2 finger, 3 finger, then we can operate the monitor as easy as that. And if you're concerned that we are wearing medical gloves, normally in the clinicals, no worry, because it's still working. And also for the software wise, we have unique multi-finger gestures, stiff touch design built into the monitor. Just like our iPhone, if you ever use an iPhone before, we have home button. So for our monitor, we have a button over here. Right, we can to bring us some of the shortcuts that we can, quickly do measurement for the patients. Like alarms, we can suspend the alarms, we can check patient's blood pressure, and we lock the screen and we can access to the main menu. And also we have different working mode. We have outdoor mode, we have privacy mode, and we have night mode, and we have intubation mode. Especially for those patients under intubations, the monitor has customized software configurations, allow the monitor to silence some of the extra, unnecessary parameters like respiration, like CO2, so it doesn't disturb the intubation process. And also we have Massimo SPCO. So when we're using our docking station, we can choose to select one of the Massimo SPCO for the doctors to quickly identify the patient's carbon monoxide level or carbon monoxide toxicity, when they are managing patients. So we don't have to do a blood test, then wait for blood tests, because usually we have to do a blood test, wait for the blood test result. It's time consuming. When we have this Massimo SPCO, or especially in the situations when we use it in ambulances, we can choose to use this in non-invasive way. Then we can quickly get a rating. So it's very, very essential and very important to save the patient's life. And also we have Massimo SP Max, which is the EWS score for the users. So they don't have to go through patient's parameter one by one and take a look at the BP, heart rates, like individually, because it will calculate a total score. That means it will alert us which one is, which is in danger. For example, if the patient has elevated respiration, right, or the patient desaturation, right, the SpO2 level will drop. So the scoring system will give us a reading, and the score of this EWS score will get higher. That means when we see a higher early warning score, the higher it is, the sicker the patient is. So it's very essential. And when we have this EWS score system, our P-Series patient monitor will be able to display this score onto the monitor to alert the nurses to quickly establish intervention for the patient. And also we have a Glasgow Coma score for the nurses to always go back to the chart to have an assessment of the patient's conscious level. So as you can see, we can assess patient's eye opening, which is the alertness, and we can talk to the patient and get a verbal response. Based on the patient's response, the user has to enter into the chart. And after we're done with the assessment, the GCS scoring system will give us a total score over here. So once we have the total score, we'll know what's going to be happening to the patient and what's the next intervention for us. So it's very convenient. And for GCS and EWS, both of this software has a timer built in. That means when we have a critical reading over here, and we can set up the time to remind us to come back to reassess the patient's conditions, which is very user-friendly. At the same time, we are providing a central monitoring system to the users. The latest version is BioVision, that we support wire or either wireless connection. And we can support up to 64 beds connected together. And we can support up to 4 displays. And also we have one more feature, which is the remote view, kind of different from the CMS. When we have our monitor that be connected into the same local network, we'll be able to access patients' data remotely. Like for example, I'm in the cubicle number 1 or bed number 1. If I want to get to know the parameter of bed 8, which is showing on the screen over here, we will be able to just click onto the chat box in bed 1 over there in the monitor to get the reading of bed 8. That means I don't have to move physically to the other cubicle to get to check the patients. I can just get the reading, without moving. So it's very convenient. And also our P-series monitor, not only able to connect to CMS, then connect to hospital EMR or HIS through the gateways. We are also providing this Biolight module that allow us to connect our P-series monitor to some of the ventilators or anesthetic machines. For example, Lowenstein, which is the company or the brand that allow us to integrate with their ventilators to achieve data transmission. And at the same time, we have one more docking station, which is the auxiliary docking expansion that allow us to put more modules into the monitor. The P-series maximum, we have 6 slots. And if the module or the parameters which are not enough for us, we're always able to connect to this extension module slot to get more parameters. And also we can insert our P1 over here. We can expand more parameters. And also we can connect the P-series monitor to a barcode scanner to scan patient's ID. And we can connect to mouse or the keyboard. So it's quite convenient. So as you guys can see over here, we have a model holding on extension module slots. That's how it looks like over there. So we can put the modules inside. Okay, and okay, we also have some of the unique features. For example, unique voice assistant. By pressing the buttons on the monitor, we will be able to activate the monitor's voice assistance function. And after that, we can give voice commands to the monitor. We can say, hello, Biolight. Then we can give voice commands like check blood pressure, or turn on the volume, or turn off the alarm, something like that. It's quite convenient. Or some nurses or the doctors, they are doing sterile procedures. We can always leave the function on, and we can check on the patient without touching on the monitor to maintain a aseptic technique, right? And also we have our IoT things that being able to maintain and remotely diagnose the monitor. So it will speed up the post-sale customer services. For example, if we have monitor that being having a malfunction or having technical problems, we will be able to remotely maintain the monitor. And one more thing, we have the unique drop monitor, which is the small device going to help nurses or the doctors to check the drip rate. Okay, so this device somehow like an infusion pump, but not exactly an infusion pump. So you will check the infusion rate, okay, by counting the drops over here, and it will display the infusion rate over here. So on the screen itself of the monitor, we will be able to see the readings, by drops per minute or mils per hour. All right. So by looking at this, we will know how fast the drip is running, and we can, more efficiently manage the patient's fluids. Right. We don't want to overload the patient, or we don't want to underload the patient. And sometimes we do have some of the medications that we don't want them to run too fast into the patient, right? So by using this device, it will help us to regulate. It doesn't change the speed, it will help us to monitor the infusion rates. So it's quite useful. And also our P-serial monitor is a high-end parameter patient monitor. And it will cover all the high-end parameters that are used commonly in anesthetic units or operation rooms. Like we have NMT, RSO2, EEG, anesthetic gases, we have carbon dioxide, we have bistructural index, we have respiratory mechanics, we have impedance cardiography, we have IBP and cardiac outputs. So we'll go through one by one. So by monitoring all these high-end parameters, we will have a systematic monitoring for the patient's condition.
Jimmy. Hello.
Yes, I think I can hear somebody talking.
Hi, Jimmy. How are you?
I think I can see Ahmad, right? Kamal.
Yeah, this is Idris. I just have a question regarding in the P series of the monitor.
Okay.
Do we have integrated PC along with this series?
Integrated PC?
Yeah.
I think integrated PC is the CMS, right? The central monitoring system, right? It's like
No,
external display, or
no, in the monitor itself, do you have an integrated PC where actually I can see the PACS view?
Our monitor will be able to connect to external displays via DVI. That means we can monitor, but our monitor will not be able to PC directly.
No, it does. Does this monitor does not have a PC integrated IPC? Basically, it's like an Philips in MX700 or 800 or 850 series. So we want to just ask.
Like integrated PC, like, right? Yeah. Yeah, I think as what I know, I think our P series doesn't have this integrated PC yet. But we can make a confirmation, then give you the feedback regarding this integrated PC.
No problem.
Right?
All right.
All right. At the same time, I think I can see some of the questions in the chat box. I'll just quickly finish up, then we'll go through. We do have a section that we can answer the questions one by one.
Excuse me, I have one question only, but it's a quick question.
Sure.
Quick question.
Okay. All right. Sure. What's the question?
So regarding the BICO and brain SpO2, any plans to add it to this series in the future?
PICO?
Yes, and brain SpO2.
Yes, which is the high-end parameter that I'm going to be mentioning about, which is the RSO2. The region of the slides has not yet been finished, so have some of the informations not yet been mentioned. Shall I finish up the slides? Then I can go through the questions one by one. There are some questions when we go through the slides, then we'll get to know. Easy, all right? Okay, then we will continue. Okay, so the first high-end parameter we're going to mention, which is the NMT, which is the neuromuscular transmission. Very commonly we use in POO or as anesthesia. Study has shown that a lot of patients, there are over 60% of the patients do not undergo subjective nerve assessment. And also only 17 of them has gone for objective nerve assessment. About 40% of the patients in the post-anesthesia care unit residual neuromuscular blockage. That means after they went for surgery, they didn't have a proper sedation or overdose or underdose, right? That's for that. That's why we're introducing this NMT to into P serial monitor to help the anesthetist to maintain an accurate dosage of the neuromuscular blockade drugs when they give to the patient to ensure proper sedation. On the screen itself, we will be able to see the trend of fall. So stimulant given to the patient's hand, we'll be able to see the responses immediately on the screen. So we will know the status of the sedation. And also we can see the TOF ratings over here. Right, this is NMT. And also for sedation-wise, we have BIS, which is the bisubstrural index, commonly used in PACU or either emergency rooms or anesthesia to determine the depth of sedation or hypnosis. So we can check the signal quality index of the BIS functions when we apply the leads to the patient's forehead. So we'll get to know how strong the signal is, and we'll get to know the BIS rating as well. So before the patient go for surgery, we can apply these leads to the patient's forehead. Then after the doctor gave the drugs to the patient, real time. So we'll get to know how deep the sedation is. We'll be able to get to know the time points that they are properly or being sedated in that stage. So it's quite convenient. And also we have this spine page, which is the sensor check page. We'll get to know the detection or the connection of the leads with the patient, right? So you help to assist in decreasing time to patient or to decrease the hypnotic anesthetic drugs. And also you will lower the incidences of the nausea and vomiting, which is the side effects of the sedation drugs, because we have the controlling of the drugs, right? So hence you will have to stay as well, which is the for the patients. And also we have EEG, very commonly used for those patients have brain abnormalities, have brain tumor, or those patients have continuous fits due to some of the reasons like brain dysfunctions, inflammatory of the brain to increase action with stroke, either ischemic stroke or hemorrhagic strokes, or those patients are going for sleep study when they have sleep disorders. So this EEG is essential for them. And also for our monitor, we'll be able to support up to 4 channels of EEG monitoring. And also we have regional saturation, oxygen saturation. I think one of the audience asked about just now. So this ISO2 to the patient's forehead to get to know patient's perfusion, brain perfusion, which is the cerebral perfusion, right? So this RSO2 commonly we can choose to use on different organs, but commonly in the clinicals we evaluate patients' cerebral perfusions, right? Okay, so this regional oxygen perfusion compared to SpO2 from the proximal distal region of the patients is more accurate, and it'll help us to visualize the resuscitation effects in real time. Or those patients after sedation, they have they are on ventilator. So we want to get to know the patient's ventilation status. So by checking the patient's brain perfusion status, we'll know a proper ventilation to the patient or not. And also reduce the incidences of cerebral hypoxia, and it will help us to manage the patient better. And also when the patient is on the RM, which is the respiration mechanics, allow us to have a better impression, understanding of the patient's ventilation condition. As you can see over here, we can see the ratings like PEP, PEEP, and inspiratory and expiratory ratio. And we can see tidal volumes, inspiratory and expiratory reading over here, which is from the patient's measurement. And it's quite accurate, and it's very convenient, right? For those patients having, incubation tubings, being incubated. So it's quite, and also we can on off each of the readings into the settings, right? So help them to understand better of the pulmonary functions. And also we have cardiac output. And we have two different types. We have invasive and non-invasive way of measurement. So we have invasive way. That means we're going to put a tube into the patient. Then we can use our cardiac output module. Then we can connect with the patient's tubing. We'll get a real-time waveform over here, right? And one more, we have non-invasive way of measuring cardiac output, which is the impedance cardiography, which is from Medis. So a leads, they're going to put it onto the thoracic audition. Totally, we have 4 leads. A non-invasive way of reading for output. That means we don't have to put a needle into the patient or insert any. Then we can quickly get a cardiac output reading. It's quite convenient for those patients that get consent or agreement for inserting the invasive. So we will provide them with these 2 options: invasive or either non-invasive. Depends on the clinical needs. Okay. And also we have anesthesia gas. Okay, for those patients under sedation, when we want to give them sedation drugs, we can able to measure the minimum concentration of the anesthetic agent. That means the drugs that the patient, like N2O, right, or patient's oxygen, and also at the same time we will be able to check the patient's CO2 level, reporting either mainstream or side stream AG. Okay, N-tidal, very commonly used in ICU, anesthesia or respiratory clinics. Okay, also for IBP, which is the essential parameter, that we can support up to 10 channels of IBP monitoring at the same time. Okay. And we do have some of the special design features for our babies or newborns, not only for adults, we have for the units, right? So we have this special design page to allow the nurses to, or the doctor, focus on the parameters that which is very essential for those newborns, like SpO2 and heart rates. And also we can check the perfusion screen itself. So help us to focus on the monitor. And also we can choose the SpO2 from Massimo, which will be more accurate and more reliable. And also for neonates, upon discharge, the most of the hospital, they have to go for a T screening, which is the congenital critical heart diseases. For those babies, if they have different changes, or there are differences between the SpO2 level either on the hand or either on the foot, we'll compare those 2 ratings. We'll be able to get to know the patient's circulation, and also hence to predict the patient's cardiac function. We can go to this special page, which is the CCHD screening page, and we can get to know the patient's SpO2 level on for 45 seconds. And we can move the SpO2 probe onto the baby's foot. We can get another reading for 45 seconds. And the software will configure it and analyze for us and give us a result, whether this screening, is it positive or is it negative, right? So it's quite handy and it's quite useful for those babies. And also we have sepsis view, because sepsis is very commonly that we encounter for those patients being admitted. So we have this sepsis window for let's go back to this window to check on patient's condition. So this view will provide a pathway and guideline for those physicians managing patient's condition, because they have a lot of things or a lot of blood tests to analyze. So we can go to this page, then we can put in patient's parameters or blood test results. Then we can analyze the patient's score. All right. So it will give us the relevant intervention by the monitor. And by building this sepsis view, we are referring to SSC 2016 guidelines. So it's a very new and updated guidelines. And also, patient going for surgery, we do have a special design page for those patients before they go for surgery. They could have sedation drugs. We can give them medication in the induction phase, or we also have this design near indicator, right? When they click the start button over here, so the users will be able to intubating the patient, because they don't want to the patient go to hypoxia, so they have to finish up the incubation phase within 120 seconds, right? So the machine count down for them, so quite easy to use. And also it will give us the maintenance phase that we can check the patient's energy status or paralysis status or sedation status, right? So you will draw the parameter in from the monitor, then give us the results. And also we have Aldrich score system for us to evaluate the patient's recovery. Okay, one more feature, which is the rescue mode. When patient's condition gets deteriorated, that we have to quickly respond to the patient and resuscitate the patient. So we can go to this page, which is the CPR assistant, to allow to quickly document the resuscitation phase. That means we can click onto the buttons to start through, then we can start compression, right? Then we can record down the medications that we use, or the intervention that we have as the patient during resuscitation. So after we done with the resuscitation, right? After stabilize the patient, we will be able to export this whole process, the resuscitation process, into the computer, right? For documentation. So compared to some of the other competitors, our piece definitely holds a lot of advantages. This battery life, which is the 3 hours. And we have IBP, we can support up to 10 channels of IP. And we have 72 hours of full disclosure, like including readings, numbers, and waveforms. We have a unique voice assistant, very unique. And we have the unique drop monitor, right? The drip monitor. And also we have maximum rainbow. All right, this is about our PC monitor. And at the same time, I think I can questions into the chat box, and probably we can go through the questions. And also, if you guys have any further questions, you can always put it into the chat box. All right. Even though sometimes we may not be able to answer all those questions, after the meeting, we'll get back to you by email. All right. All the questions, we will give you the reply eventually, right? So let's go for the question. And at the same time, I would like to invite Mr. Ibrahim over there. So we can go through the question one by one and give you guys more replies. Okay.
For the questions, such as the embed PC in the patient monitors, we know the GE and Amari, they have the patient monitor with the embed PCs, like the N22. Patient monitors comes in 2 parts, so you need to install a display screen first, and then you need to install at least one module to use kind of patient monitors. So it is very difficult to install it and also to have a high cost to maintain it. It's the safety of the Windows system, Windows system is also than the Linux systems. And our P series, they use the Linux systems. Also in actual clinical use, the health, they don't care about what system they are using. So P series, even they don't have the embed PC, very powerful and suitable for
thank
the
you.
clinical
I
use.
just want to add a point to understand about this for clarification, because why did I ask that integrated PC is basically when you add an extra window into the PC, basically a monitor. When a doctor wants to view the PACS images that can be viewed on, so that's the reason I was asking you about that.
Okay.
So we do not have the possibility about the window that can be viewed, right?
Yeah, not really for now.
Okay, perfect. I just want to clarify that, because when a system who has an option where I can say Biolight silence the alarm, then I think that should also be there. Yeah. Thank you.
Hello.
Any more questions?
Yeah, this is Hatem speaking. I have a question if you allow me.
Sure. All right, go ahead.
Sure. Regarding the early warning score, we know it is giving like a score based on algorithm, and this is algorithm based on parameters, multi-parameters from the patient, and this and this score will situation of the patient if it is going to worse or going to be stable or more stable. So the
scoring system that will evaluate a patient's condition by checking on the patient's parameters. I can go back to the charts. I'll put it on the screen and just share to everybody. 1 second. So when you look at the early warning scoring system, as you can see now, right? So it's on the screen. So as you can see, the monitor will be evaluating the patient's parameter like respiration, right? So when we use the monitor, right, we'll be able to get the patient's vital signs, right? So we'll be able to get the respiration. We can get SpO2 and temperature. This is the systolic blood pressure, and we can get heart rates, right? So all these values that we will be able to get just from the just by the monitor. We don't have to really manually key in anything, right? So only we have to key in this tool. So for the users, they have to key in whether this patient is on supplementary oxygen or not, right? Or this patient, whether is it alert or not. This AVPU is a scoring system that will ask the patient's conscious lens for alertness, right? Whether is it patient alert or not. V is verbal. That means when I talk to the patient, is this patient alert? Or is this patient able to verbally respond to me? Or this patient is only able to respond to pain stimulus. Reply me. Then when I give a pain stimulus, the patient is responds to pain, right? Or this patient is unresponsive. So I get to know that I'm able to just click onto the screen and choose which one, A or B or P or either U. Key in, the monitor will be able to give me a total score. That means over here, right? So this suggests that, oh, this patient needs to go ICU, this patient needs to go general wards or anything like that. Because this EWS score is only reflecting the patient's condition parameter. Like for example, I'm getting a 2 score right now on the screen, right? 5 minutes or after 10 minutes, if I'm getting a 5, like a score of 5, that means the patient's score, this EWS score is getting higher. That means definitely there are some of the parameter which is out of range.
If it is out
Right.
of the
So
range,
it will alert the doctors or nurses to keep on to get to monitor the patient more closely, because the condition is kind of getting worse, because it's reflecting on the patient's right. This is how it works.
Okay, I just want to comment, then I will let the space for the others.
Sure.
Yeah, regarding this, if there is any parameter out of the range, by default the monitor will give us alarm. So
yes,
I don't need to
you will give us alarm.
Yeah, it will. Why I need to look to the early warning score. Then I need to check what is the parameter which is out of the range. So I already have alarm, but it's called early warning score. So there is something as a predictive tool to use for this. This is what I mean. Is that right or
yeah,
wrong?
I get the point. Yeah. That means when I have the parameter, right, is out of range, the monitor has already alarming with me, right? Why do I still need this EWS score as a as a one of the things that I need to concern about? This EWS, because when there's an alarm to the users, you will only alarm like SpO2 level, right? Or heart, right? For some of the patients, I mean, for healthy patients, probably there's only 1 or 2 parameter with range. But for those critically high patients, a lot of parameter which is out of range, like respiration, the patient, is breathing fast, or it's kind of low, or they can have abnormalities at the same time. That means I can't just base on the alarm, because although we have high alert alarming, we have more moderate alarming, we have too many alarms for me, right? And based on the alarm, of course, if I have one-to-one care in front of patients, right, I'm able to just manage one patient, like 5 patients or 10 patients to take care of. How am I going to, check on the screen, go to one patient and check on the parameters like one by one, right? So I need a score that help me to summarize all those patient conditions just based on one score, right? What does it helps with us? That means if then I have one patient, the mu score is 10. Then the rest of the patients, the mu score is like either 1 or 2. Of course, for me, myself, as a health, I need to prioritize the patient's condition. Of course, I will have a higher score. Is that to the patient with a higher early warning score, which is having the rest of the patients, the parameter, of course, only 1 or 2 parameters, right? If I don't have this early warning score, I won't know. I will not know which one's more severe in front of me.
Clear. Thank you, Jimmy. Thanks.
Yeah, this is one of the scenario that I can use. Of course, currently in the articles that being doing has suggested EWS is a very essential and helpful tool for them to detect patients' condition. I think that's about EWS. Any more questions? Oh, can you clarify more about ETCO2? I think there's one question from Nasim. Right, all right, so for EWS, we have either side stream, mainstream, or either microflow, right? Then we can choose either from Biolight or either from Massimo. Depends on the user's preference. Okay, I'll go for this. Go page. 1 second. All right. All right. So this is untitled. So when we have the untitled reading on the screen and get to know the patient's respiratory rate, which is the breath, right? Then at the same time we can get the CO2 level, right? So the normal range is which is 35 to 45, right? For the high range, the alerting range, we can set 50 to 25. These two ratings are able to customize it. I think for this untitled, Mr. Nasim, the question you mentioned was about the monitor mainstream, right? So we have both, depends on the needs. We have mainstream, we have side stream, microflow, we have from Massimo or the Biolight. Okay. Oh, anyway, for the commonly used for those patients who is confused, or those patients needs sedation, then we might need to get to know their ventilation status and check how much carbon out from the body. Not only checking the oxygen level they feel, we get to know the gas that they exhale from the body. So it's ventilated. Any more questions? I think a lot of things that we talk about. Guys, has any questions? Just put it in, or you can email to our sales, Miss Miller or Miss. We can get back to you over that. Can we connect the P1? What is display for Hatim Naja?
I think I'll brief that question to you that
Okay.
just like Advantech monitors, basically a Philips monitor can actually connect to an Advantech system. It can be two ways. Either can be connected directly to display as a large display into a slave monitor, or the second one, if you want to operate as well, because the monitor can be as a slave monitor where we can actually touch and interface the monitor.
Oh, I think I can emphasize on this. All right, so over here. So as you can see, our P1, this is the transport monitor that we have, right? So the scenario is when we will be able to get to insert this P1 monitor into the main unit, right? So when we are monitoring the patient, this patient's parameter, everything, right? When we arrive attachments, when we insert this P1 into the main unit, so all this data will be transferred into the P1. We can operate on this P1 as well.
Okay, no, that's one point. Second point, sure. I think I'll clarify. If you know that the portable monitor which we have, the small one, the module, which is going to be moved from one department to other department. So basically, in terms of and options of the monitors of the series, you can actually use these module and connect along with the cable to a medical grade monitor as a slave monitor and actually operate. So is that option available or no?
Yes, we can. You mean when this monitor, not only P1, there's one more module over here, right? I mean, on the docking station, we have one more module.
The module that you can see, the module you can see on the side, with the display, the small one.
Hold on, let me show you. All right, so we have a cable over here. I mean, if we have one more slot, if we have one more slot at the side, if we're gonna shift this monitor together with the slot into the main, we can. So we can shift.
You did not get my point. Maybe I will share something with you on the email. You can understand that.
Sure. You mean external display? Then we can operate on the external display. If it's just a basic external display, I don't think we can operate on that.
No, it's not a grade display where you can have to install the software into that and then you have to use it. So have you guys done this one before?
I don't think so. I don't think so like that? For now. I don't think so.
Okay, then I will discuss on that. I will discuss on that.
Sure. When we have this docking station, we'll be able to connect to an external display. Then we can operate on this P1 is not on the external displays or either like medical grade displays. But if we're gonna need like a bigger screen, insert this P1 into the main unit, we'll be able to operate on this main unit. Because this main unit does not have any modules, if we doesn't put any modules inside, we can't operate this monitor. So this P series main units will require a module, either P1, to be inserted inside to operate. Okay, all right. So I think more details, we will send you the details by email. Okay. Right, then more questions.